What would happen if Robinhood went into Latin America? Would they get the customers that they think that they would get? And I thought about it the other day. Like I've been wanting them to come to Canada so bad because this is their international plans to expand here.
Yeah.
And there has been so many updates from big names here in Canada. To be honest, I don't think I'd switch. Like we finally have some pretty good competition here, and they're moving very fast. And it's like, I don't know, like the competition's getting stronger. So Robinhood will need to get even more.
You would switch. You would switch.
I don't know.
You would switch. No, the reason why you would switch is because Robinhood is the best mobile app on the planet. And you know this. You already know this. I was actually thinking of this take over the weekend. So Vlad responded to this tweet. Who uses Robinhood? Is it a good investment app? I'm a fan of it. And I said,
Vlad said, I'm a fan of
it. I said, it's not close. What mobile app is better than Robinhood? I'm not saying Robinhood has all the features. I know they're missing a ton of stuff. But in terms of pure mobile app, if that's what you care about, Tanner, which maybe you don't care about that. But let's say
that I don't care about. I care about money.
No, but let's say you did care about that, or a lot of Canadians care about that, right? More than just like the desktop version. I think it's pretty simple. A lot of people would switch because it would just be a better experience.
Yeah, but this is another thing that I always think about is how many people get in so Nubank, one of the things that the CEO talks about why they benefited so much is because they said the experience went from 1 to a 9 or a 10. But if you have an 8, do you upgrade to a 9? Do you worry about because the frog leaps in technological or like UI would be amazing to switch. But if you go from 8 to a 9, is it worth the switching fees or just the switching cost of time?
Do you think there's platforms in Canada that are 8s right now?
Bro, okay, I don't want to give out any names, but there is a company here, I'm sure you guys could think of it, that is killing it. I'm getting a closer relationship with them. Like
Wealth Simple, that one?
Yeah. They're just they are running right now, and it's super exciting.
You have their app? Is it a good app?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's an okay app. They're not the greatest. They're not the greatest experience, but what I like about them is they're going more the SoFi approach. So the banking experience is getting caught up. They're going after SMB soon. Like it's going to be that whole experience. Like if I have my business here, my money here, I do all my payments here, why would I switch for better charts? It's not me.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's
a lot of people
buy with no fees. I get a credit card that gives me high cash back. Who cares?
I mean, that's pretty good. And the matching bonuses, the suite of products too. And just, it's easy to use. A lot of people do care. I wouldn't say who cares. I'd say Tanner maybe doesn't care. But the majority of people do. And I think that the trend is, and I need to ask someone this, younger investors and new investors, my thoughts are that most actually begin with mobile and some do migrate to desktop. You know, I'm one of those. I started with mobile and I'm like, okay, desktop is actually better for me, but I'm an old dude. And the vast majority of people that are trading, you know, they'll stick with mobile. They'll use that as their primary source. Some will actually purely do it through mobile. So that's really the trend I think that Robinhood wants to stick with. And I think I agree with Amit that they're inarguably the best mobile app. Desktop, you could say that there's some competition. I like Robinhood Legend, but and they've added a number of new indicators on it, which is great. And it's really good, but there's a lot of other really good ones too. So that one's more of a matter of taste. Mobile, they have no competition.
But the problem is that whenever they expand internationally, you don't get the US experience. You get this half-baked products are coming soon experience.
That's fair.
Like this is even what I like PayPal. I like dealing with PayPal, everything like this. But the Canadian version of PayPal is nothing like the American one. We get this half-baked, no charge cards, terrible experience. And so I don't use PayPal really for, my business because I have no way to spend out of PayPal. So I you guys have all these amazing features in America. And then whenever we get these half-baked solutions, people don't switch them. They choose the homegrown versions because we actually get those products. Like if Robinhood comes over, we don't get the Robinhood card with that. That's not going to come.
Well,
know?
that's the problem with new geography. So you have a good point there. Like it's going to be hard to beat Wealthsimple or trading 212 in the UK if they can't offer the full suite of experiences. That 100%. You're not going to get people to switch and they're just not going to leave. But if you're a new time user in terms of their mobile experience, granted, most of the features are there. I do think it's going to be one of the better experiences, and it's only getting better and better and better. Like Schwab, Fidelity, they're not good mobile experiences. They're probably better products from all the different features they have, but they're just not better experiences yet. And the cool thing is Robinhood can catch up to them, but they can't reinvent themselves to be like Hood.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the growth trajectory comes in. But you're right. Internationally, the UK launch hasn't really been a thing yet. And so in Singapore, they're going to have to really launch, meaningful product, not just a half-baked one.
Well,
Yeah,
they
think
did
what's so
mention
funny
that
in Hong Kong.
options, ISA, and SIPs are all launching in the UK this year now, not next year or in 2025. So
yeah,
so it'll become real.
So speaking of Hood continuing to get users and assets, we have the IRA rollovers that are officially back. So Robinhood is now offering a 2% match to IRA rollovers for gold members. This means if you have $1 million in your IRA, you can get 20,000 to bring it over onto Robinhood. You have until April 30th to do this. I believe you have to keep it on the platform for 5 years. I've gotten a few messages already from some people saying they've already brought over 6 figures. Roy, we'll start with you. Implications of this going into the next few quarters for you.
Yeah, we're going to continue to see the retirement assets really ramp. That's something that's very stable, that doesn't tend to move from platform to platform often unless you have opportunities like this. I think the goal is bring them over. Of course, to retain that bonus, they need to stay with Robinhood. I believe it's for 2 years to get that full bonus. And they hope that they'll really like the platform, that they'll see all the benefits there are from being Robinhood Gold members. And then as a result, they'll be like, hey, I like this. I'm not switching. It's kind of like Tanner with his inferior Canadian knockoff of Robinhood.
It's true. It is inferior. It is. But it's not inferior to what Robinhood would be if it got here.
Maybe. We'll see if their launch strategy, that'll actually be something interesting because they have, correct me if wrong, but they launched before in the UK and it pulled back from it. And I believe Australia as well. I might be wrong on that one. We'll see if their launch strategy changes as they launch in Singapore and other locations. And then also if they accelerate those additional products, or if it's no, we're not going to accelerate. We're just going to make sure that we do things deliberately. We'll launch the platform, get some people used to it, make sure nothing breaks. Then we'll launch this product, and we'll do that. And if it'll be very methodological.
Yeah. If I've learned anything from Nubank, these things take a lot longer to get started. And then, localize your advertisements and everything. Like, this is not going from state to state. This is going from country to country. It's a big deal. They want to go fast, but who knows? If you're confident in your growth in UK, start breaking down your user base from US to UK and show us which one's bringing in the new users.
Yeah, a little early for that, but once everything is fully launched, it'd be great to see that. I agree.
Yeah. Sorry, what was the question, Amit?
2%.
Yes.
IRA.
Yeah, I think like I saw this comment in the chat that said, "Of course I did this." Stock Talk with Cody said, "Of course I transferred my IRA right before the 2% LMAO." I think that this is going to be so often that people will only wait to transfer whenever those programs come up. That, or they're not following it as closely as us, which might also be true. And so they're just going to transfer whether or not there is a bonus.
Well, for me, I thought that there might be another one. I left the job at the university. I have a different position now, and it took forever for things to transfer over. And Vlad and I talked about that in the interview. But the reality is, I was like, you know what? I just want my assets on my favorite platform, and I want to use them. The 1% match is good enough. I missed the 3% by like 2 or 3 weeks. So it was disappointing. And I figured, hey, maybe I'll get a 2% or 3% in the future, but I'd have to put it on something that I don't care as much about. So, I do use Webull a little bit. And then outside of that, we have Schwab, which I just tend to avoid completely because it's a mess.
Yeah. No, hopefully it brings in new user growth. Assets under custody is going to drive, their net interest revenue up. And I think like what Joshua said, you're going to really see this on the equities side of their trading volume, because that's where a lot of those trading is going to do. And you're not going to do a lot of your options or, stuff like this on the retirement accounts.
Yeah, I think this 2% stuff is really good for them because look, at the end of the day, Hood has to get more assets. They have to get more deposits in order to get it. They kind of put themselves in this situation where people aren't going to bring the money now unless they give them a match. And it's just the nature of how they've marketed the product. And so naturally people will deposit more if they're in the ecosystem, but to get them into the ecosystem, you got to pay up. But I think it's genius. And I told Vlad this on the first podcast we did. I was kind of scared they would get rid of too much of the incentives, and they did get rid of the 1% gold match. But in general, the unit economics look like they can afford to give you 2% for your 1 million because they can make money more than the 20K they give you over time. And because that's working so well, I think it's genius because finance companies pay so much money to get a customer. If Hood can just give you all of the money at once, and then you're there pretty much for life, right? It's hard to take those retirement assets and leave because they're for retirement, then you're there. And then you might check out the credit card. You might check out Robinhood's mortgage product that potentially might come out that has been rumored. I mean, like it's just such a genius strategy, and overall they can monetize it. So I think it's not a bad idea.
I wanted to say one thing that's kind of related to Robinhood, kind of not. My experience in transferring funds over. Raj mentioned this as well. He said, "Have you heard of a company called Capitalize?" He mentioned that he used them to move things over to Robinhood. That's actually who I ended up doing from Transamerica. At the time, Transamerica, I tried to do things on my own. They literally wanted me to like print out a form on the computer and mail it in, and I'm just like, and then there was like all these other steps. I'm like, okay, I know they're trying to make my life horrible because they don't want me to move my money off the platform. This is ridiculous. Capitalize is actually free. I believe that the platform that you transfer to that partners with them, and Robinhood is one of those. There's a bunch of them, by the way. They'll pay the fee. So you basically give them your information. They work on it for you, and they'll email you. I think they contacted me once when they needed something additional, and then I think they let me know just a couple of updates as we went on. And use somebody's referral code. There's probably a bunch of them out there on Twitter. Somebody else to get like $25 or $50 or something. So,
yeah. I just think they need to keep compounding the assets, and the way to do that is to get more and more accounts. Here's a question: they had 420,000 accounts, I think, in November. Do you think they got as many accounts in December?
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Like new net funded accounts.
I don't know if that many, but I thought you meant from Q3 to Q4. I was like, yeah, we're going to destroy Q4 numbers or
no,
Q3 numbers.
Just December. Because if they did like 800,000 new users, I think it might be the only time they replicated that was in 2020. If that's the case, dude, if each of them you're even putting, $1,000 a month or something like you're gonna have a lot of big accounts putting a lot more, but they're gonna get so many organic deposits that they don't have to keep paying for. Because they got the users onto the platform, they want to trade, they want to invest, and they're just going to deposit. So it's a flywheel.
I believe, actually, I know that I have the information. They got a bunch of first-time gold users, I believe. Maybe they're just Robinhood users from the event contracts. So I don't know like how much that'll help them overall, but that's certainly going to be some tailwinds for user growth in Q4 that I think would be above and beyond. And they also launched, was it margins that they launched in the UK in Q4 or late Q3?
Yeah.
So, that's something that I saw a couple of people even mention on X that they're transferring, and they're like, hey, margin rate is too good to pass up. I'm going over now. And of course they've launched a couple of other cryptos too, which I don't know that would actually lead to somebody joining Robinhood, not en masse, but I don't know that they hit the number that you threw out, Amit, but it should be really good.
Yeah, I don't think we beat. I'm just looking at the volumes for equities and options. I don't think we beat November, but overall, the comparison and the add up between the growth from October, November, and December is going to be a crushing. Like, this is going to be crazy. I can't wait to see what the overall numbers are. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then what happens in Q1.
Yeah, because my thing is, let's say we did add another 300,000 people in December. That's 700,000 new accounts. The reason I'm bringing it up is because every quarter we add maybe 250,000, 300,000 max. We're going to add close to 800,000 if that December number comes to 300,000, which means all those new users are people.
Didn't we do 80,000 or something in October?
Yeah. So if you get 780, right? If we get 300
Yeah.
December, 400. So, and I think we got 420. So round up to like 800. If we get those 800,000 users, that is a massive step change by about 2x in terms of the number of users we get per quarter. And I'm curious to see, are those just random people that signed up because they saw Nvidia going up and they downloaded whatever investing app they could find to put $100 into their brokerage? Or are those people where they're legitimately every month dropping in a couple $1,000? Because if that's the case, we're not going to have to pay that much for deposits over time, because you're just going to have so many like Schwab, Fidelity gets so many deposits every day because they have, so many millions of users that just use those investing products every month, or they have like a deposit scheduled every single week. If that happens with Hood at this level and they're only at 200 billion in assets, I mean, maybe the path to $1 trillion in assets isn't as far away, but it depends on how many users they can keep growing.
Yeah, I think once the credit card becomes more stable, I guess, in terms of the amount that they can roll out and the user base that's growing there can be these much stickier customers. But in terms of like finding this new type of customer that is putting in more and more into their brokerage, I don't know if they'll find that. On the retirement side, they will, but like, I don't know. I think that it could be very similar to the growth that you saw whenever the markets were rising in 2020, 2021, and then back down whenever the markets crash.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot more stable now, and that's one of the benefits of the retirement. This is just, I wanted to give some context on what you were talking about with the funded customers. Some people are visual, so we were seeing for the longest time you'd have 0.1 growth and sometimes even less, then a nice leap forward here in November. So,
sorry, continue, but keep this up.
Mm-hmm.
No, are you going to say?
That was it. That's all I was going to say.
Okay, look at February to March.
Yeah.
That step change. Now go down and find crypto volume. Should be on here as well.
Yep.
March.
Yeah,
there you go.
It's wild.
So this could be a lot of new crypto people. And so if it is new crypto people, go back up to the customers and remind yourselves what the trading volume was for December as well. December was big in crypto volume, 28 billion. That was missing the 4 days. It could be a lot of new users if the type of new user that's coming on the platform is a crypto trader. Okay. Very, very exciting knowing that the new crypto users are coming to Robinhood, not Coinbase or crypto.com or what have you.
Yeah, the year over year on crypto is going to look really stupid.
This is why I think the stock's holding 40, bro, because like everyone knows this shit's about to go wild in Q4. And Q1's whatever. We'll deal with that later. But
yeah, it's amazing that, the long term, like no matter what happens in the short term, demographics are really on their side. Their rollout plan internationally, the new products and everything. In short term, they have a lot of tailwinds too. So it's one of those nice things where you're like, oh yeah, long term it'll work out. Probably also in the short term. Very good. That's one of the reasons why, like, it's still this week I thought I might deviate from it, but I haven't. The only thing I bought so far is Robinhood. I came close to buying some PayPal, but just Robinhood so far.